Yo, what's going on, guys? Phil Cape here. We are back with another YouTube video. In this video, I want to break down who I think are the biggest Chicago Bulls draft busts since about 2000, pretty much the end of the Michael Jordan era. They pretty much, started a rebuild. After that, they sold all their players, Scottie, Steve Kerr, all them guys were traded. They got draft picks, so they had some picks to get some guys, and then they were god-awful for a long stretch of time. So we're going to review all of the players, even since then, the Jerry Krause era, the Garpax era, and now even onto Artunis. So we're going to discuss and see who I think are the biggest draft busts since 2000. So let's break it down, guys. So from the 2000 draft, number 4 overall, Marcus Fizer makes the list. 2002 draft, number 2 overall pick, Jay Williams. From the 2006 draft, number 2 overall, Tyrus Thomas. From the 2014 draft, number 11, Doug Mcdermott. And the 2015 draft, 14th overall, Denzel Valentine. And of course, the higher overall that you're picked, obviously, the more meaningful the pick is. So, the worse that you do is going to count more against you than, the later picks. So, with that said, now I'm going to put them in order from 1 to 5, who I think it is. So, I think it's kind of obvious. I think it's Jay Williams. He only played one season, and he only averages like 9.5 points and like 4.5 assists. That's just not good enough for a starting point guard for the number 2 overall pick. Let's just be frank. People shame Coby White right now for that, and he had better stats as a rookie. He had better stats probably than Jay Williams would have had his second year. So, who knows how Jay Williams' career would have ended, but the fact that we only got one season of pretty underwhelming performance from Jay Williams, I actually thought he did better than my memory. I thought he did better than what he did, actually, but it's actually pretty underwhelming, especially for the draft pick that he was. So definitely have to go with Jay Williams. Too short of a career, and he definitely caused us, we had to then take another draft capital the next year to take another point guard because we didn't have one. Then, we got Kirk Heinrich, who, was probably better than Jay Williams. He had a better rookie year than Jay did, so you can easily say Kirk Heinrich was probably a better player than Jay Williams anyway. So that's why Jay Williams is the number 1 draft bust for the Chicago Bulls since 2000. The number 2 guy is Marcus Fizer, and kind of same story. High draft pick, 4th overall, very low shooting percentage, highly inefficient. He had a couple of seasons around 10 points a game, but he only played like 5 years in the NBA. That's very short career. He was playing out of position, power forward, small forward. They didn't really know what he was because he wasn't really good at anything. Like I said, just didn't shoot good enough and couldn't really guard the bigger power forwards and couldn't guard the small forwards. So, in that era, he just, didn't have a place. So he definitely, second worst Chicago Bulls draft pick since 2000. The number 3rd overall. So the third, biggest draft bust, I would say, is Tyrus Thomas. Being drafted 4th overall, essentially, we traded LaMarcus Aldridge for him, and then, we got like Victor Crapa as well. But missing out on Aldridge definitely hurt, stung a lot of Bulls fans for a long time. They never forgot that. And Thomas just didn't pan out. He had not good enough stats, 9, 10 points a game, a few years, pretty underwhelming field goal percentage, things like that. He was, basically all athleticism and just, never panned out as anything other than, some dunks and things like that. So definitely have to put him at number 3 overall for the 3rd worst draft bust since 2000. And on to the 4th draft bust. We are going with Denzel Valentine. And he honestly could be in the running for number 2 worst. But since he was picked later, it doesn't, we're not going to hold it too much against him. Since he was only 14th overall. That's the last pick of the lottery, so he barely even qualifies for this because we're only doing lottery players in this, just in case you're wondering. This is only for lottery picks for the draft bust. Otherwise, you could include guys like Dalibor Bajaric, like the 24th overall pick, who's just absolutely horrendous. One of the worst basketball players I've ever seen, but Yeah, I just want to put that out there. Um, but yeah, Denzel Valentine, injuries just marred his career. Was never the guy we thought he'd be, and had a pretty short career as well. But yeah, since he was a lower pick, we'll have him at number 4. And making the list number 5, rounded it out, is Doug McDermott at the 11th overall pick. And it definitely hurt that we traded 2 picks as well in the first round to trade up and get him. And then he was just never the player that we thought or envisioned him. We thought he'd be a nice, 6th man, some guy that could really come in and shoot and give our second unit a boost, behind like Mirotic and guys like that we had at the time. And it just never panned out. And, he's still playing. Just he's been a role player pretty much his whole career. And, I just have to put him at number 5. He just hasn't done enough. And for what we gave up, I think it's got to be Doug McDermott. Taking the 2 first-round picks to get him, which was Gary Harris and Yusuf Nurkic. I would have rather, you could make the case that you'd rather have either one of those players over Doug McDermott. So, putting out all the information there, I would say Doug McDermott rounds it out at number 5. And we will throw in some honorable mentions as well. And it's Coby White and Patrick Williams. And we'll go over the reasons for both. So Coby White actually started off, really good, had some nice, solid rookie season for pick 7 overall. Then had a nice sophomore season as well. But this is when he was actually, viewed as a point guard coming out. So he hasn't panned out as a point guard. So his value has actually decreased a lot, and so is his stats in minutes. So his role is basically a scorer off the bench, and he's under 10 points a game for the first time in his career, but he's actually been playing pretty good. A lot of Bulls fans would say this is one of his better seasons, but if you look at his stats, statistically, it's one of his worst seasons. But he's kind of found his role in the NBA, and that's to be a scoring guard off the bench. I think that's who he is. That's why I would kind of have him as maybe the 6th, kind of the next guy, if you had to pick somebody, just because like I said, he didn't pan out as a point guard, so he's more of a combo guard that came off the bench. I love Coby White. I'm a North Carolina fan and everything. I was rooting for him. I said he was better than Ja Morant. Talking out of my mind at this point, but just didn't pan out the way we thought he would. So, I don't think he was worth the 7th overall pick as just a scoring guard off the bench. He doesn't seem like he was as good as Jamal Crawford. He was basically, I think he was the 8th pick. He was the same kind of player, a scoring guard off the bench, and I would say, Crawford is way better than Coby White. I hope Coby White can turn it around. He's starting to find his place, but I would kind of put him in the honorable mention category. And then I want to talk about Patrick, because I know a lot of people are saying, you don't have Patrick Williams on the list? Not really, and I'll tell you why. Patrick was the 4th overall pick in a very, very, very weak draft. So if you go back, look at his draft class, and I'm sure there's some other bad drafts, like the Marcus Fizer draft was bad, duly noted. But I just want to mention how bad Patrick Williams' draft class is. I wouldn't take anyone else over Patrick Williams except for Tyrese Halliburton. And actually, when I made my mock draft, that's who I had the Bulls taking, was Tyrese Halliburton, because I thought he'd be the best fit for the Bulls at the time. But they went with Patrick. They went with a guy who they thought had a lot more upside, a lot more physical tools to be that small forward that we were looking for. And, he hasn't panned out yet. He's showing a lot of tools, a lot of good tools, defensive tools, shooting tools. He's getting a lot better. He's tightening up his ball handling, things like that. But, we pretty much asked him to be a defensive specialist. He covers, the best scores, the best wing scores the team has every night. So, when we play the Bucks, he's guarding Giannis. When we play the Boston Celtics, he's guarding Jason Tatum. He's guarding the best teams scoring forward every single night. That's what we ask him to do. And then we ask him to hit open shots, which he does at a clip of 40%, which is very good, especially for a player his age. I think he's only 21 years old, so the fact that he's still very, very young, he was the youngest player in his draft class And, this is his third year, but it's basically his second year. He missed all of last year, but like 10 or 15 games. So you can pretty much just scratch out. He didn't learn anything last year. So this is basically his second year. I'll acknowledge this is his third. You can call it his third. That's fine. But like I said, he's shown a lot of good stuff that some of them other guys didn't show anything else. Like, Fizer, low shooting percentage, weak defender, all them other things. Patrick has a lot of pluses to his game, and he has been showing better offensive moves and repertoires. The things Bulls fans get frustrated the most is just the lack of assertiveness. But, we don't know how many plays are being called for him. Those are the things as fans, we don't really know the ins and outs. I know the Bulls have been disappointed a few times this year, and a couple of times I think he's picked it up since then. I think it was good to get a benching. I think it got him to realize he needed to be a little bit more assertive and step it up. And I feel like he's slowly coming along. He still has games here and there where he kind of reverts back to the passiveness a little bit, and maybe he's just getting too tired defensively, that he just can't put in forth the effort offensively yet. So maybe when we get some of these other defenders back, if we ever get Lonzo Ball back, it's honestly not looking like it. Like, he hasn't played in a year for a meniscus injury, and he can't even run or hardly walk. He can't even walk upstairs or anything like that. So, we got to get some more defenders. Relieve a little bit of that pressure off of Pat defensively, so hopefully he can step up a little bit more offensively, because we know he has the tools. He's shooting 90% from the free throw line this season and 40% from three. He's a career 40% three-point shooter. He actually shot 50% last year in a small sample size. So he's a very good shooter. So we know he can shoot. He has a role in the NBA as a hybrid 3-4. I don't know what you call him. He was drafted to be a small forward. Even a lot of draft sites have him listed as a guard, even, which is a little weird. But I would definitely say he's a forward, a hybrid forward. He could be a small or power forward, interchangeable with a lot of different type of guys and players. So that's a definitely good thing to have good versatility. But yeah, but I still have to mention him. He does have to keep showing improvement, or he will end up on a list like this one day. And that's because he was picked 4th overall. For a 4th overall pick, you need to be at least a good starter, at least a good start. And he has. He's been a 3-year starter on a contending Chicago Bulls team for the playoffs. Not for the championship, but for the playoffs. Maybe if this was a championship team, maybe he'd be coming off the bench, and, we'd feel a little bit less excited about him right now. But, he's still young. We'll see where that goes. But I want to see what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys do hit the like button on this video. It really helped me out, help out the video, get out there to more Chicago Bulls fans. Comment down below who your top 5 Chicago Bulls biggest busts are, and kind of explain, small reason behind that. I'm, very curious to what other Bulls fans think, and let me know your comments about Patrick and Coby, and even Dalen Terry. We haven't seen very much. I know he wasn't a lottery pick, but kind of, I don't know, it's not looking good for him right now. But we'll see how that goes. But hope you guys like the video. Like I said, comment down below, sub to the channel. I'm going to be putting out more Chicago Bulls talk and Chicago Bears stuff. We'll be doing a lot more sports talk going forward, guys. So definitely sub to the channel, and we're out here, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace out.